wanting to keep everybody alive this morning. Good morning, everybody. It's so good to see you. Yes, I have Mary Oliver in my hands. You can tell it's a day about nature and the earth when one carries Mary Oliver with her. Thank you for that beautiful music. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Reverend Deborah Bennett, and it's a joy to be here with you this morning. I love seeing all of your faces, and those that I can't see online, welcome to you as well. As you know, we are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, and that means we truly welcome all here. We welcome everybody with all of your many identities. No one of us is any one thing, are we? We're all many, many things. And we invite you to show your true self while you're here, to get to know each other, to take time to nurture yourself, your true self. And that's why we come together on Sunday mornings to have this moment of pause from our life, to take time and breathe. And this morning's a very special day to do that because I really wanted to do this service all about nature. And I know within our own sanctuary, we do not have doors and windows, or at least windows that look out at nature. So I'm going to ask us to do a lot of imagining today. We've brought some extra plants in and ask us to really imagine us in and amongst the natural world this morning. A special welcome to anybody who's here for the first time, or maybe one of your first times. I'm glad you're here, and thank you for coming and getting to know us. As you can see, this is one of those mornings where there's probably more people up here, or as many as out here, but together we make quite a beautiful community. I do want to start with Mary Oliver this morning. There's so many to pick from, but I picked "The Oak Tree Loves Patience." I don't know about you, but sometimes I wake up in the morning and it's challenging to not wake up and just go, 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 right? To look at that to-do list and decide all the things that we must do. So a lesson from our brothers and sisters and friends, the oak trees. The oak tree loves patience. The mountain is still looking, as it has for centuries, for a word to say about the gradual way it slides itself back to the world below to begin again in another life, to be fertile. When the wind blows, the grass whispers and whistles in myths and riddles, not in our language, but one far older. The sea is always the sea. These things you can count on as you walk about the world, happy or sad, talky or silent, making weapons or making love or making poems, or even the briefest of fires. Isn't that beautiful? We all love Mary Oliver. I'm going to invite you to sing this morning one of my favorite hymns. It is up there. Wake now my senses. I'm going to invite you to rise in body or spirit as you are able. And let's see if we can wake up our senses. And even though we're inside a building this morning, hear the earth's call. Hear that call of nature to us and through us.
Thank you, and good morning. My name is James Poteet, and I'm a member of the worship team, as well as the lead advisor for the Cobb Gay Straight Alliance, which you'll hear a little bit more about later. I extend my welcome to each of you today, and I'm so glad you're here. Each Sunday, we light our chalice as a symbol of Unitarian Universalism and our commitment to be a beacon of love in the world. This morning, Julian Tice will light our chalice.
The chalice lighting words this morning are by Lord Byron. There is a pleasure in the pathless woods. There is a rapture on the lonely shore. There is society where none intrudes, by the deep sea and music in its roar. I love not man the less, but nature more.
Thank you. Now, in the spirit of beloved community, let us greet and welcome each other as we share our congregational affirmation, we need not think alike to love alike. Those in the sanctuary, feel free to move around and offer your greetings to others. For those online, please introduce yourself in the chat or unmute to say hello.
Good morning. My name is Sandra Malik, and I'm a member of the pastoral care team. At this time in our service, we pause to reflect on and share the joy, sorrows, and concerns in our lives and light candles of our shared care. Prior to service, we light 3 candles that hold our collective sorrow and hope. These candles recognize the collective pain and suffering of the Cherokee and Muskogee nations of people who lived on this land before us, and the Africans who were brought to this shore and enslaved, and the pain and suffering in all nations of people where there is conflict and injustice, like in the Ukraine. Before our service each week, you are invited to add to this care table, lighting a candle for anyone you are holding in your heart. May all of these lights humbly remind us of our interconnection and the impact of our collective action. We also have this Joy, Sorrows, and Concern book at the back of the church that you can fill in if you have a personal note that you would like to be read up here during the service. We now turn to our personal joys. We have one from Nikki Fambro. Nikki, where are you? ran in the first 5K as an adult and not military. Finished third in age group and 53rd overall out of 300 people. We also accept messages of needs in our church through our pastoral care email. So you can also send us messages during the week. Here's 2 concerns. Jeffrey Jacoby's parents are battling COVID. His dad is 90 and his mother is up there in age also. Jeffrey's dad this week is off the ventilator, but he does have pneumonia and is hospitalized locally.
He's out.
He's out?
He's been out yesterday.
Wow, okay. Very good. Please feel free to send Jeffrey a caring text and lots of hope for his folks. Jane Dillingham is having total knee surgery, replacement surgery tomorrow morning. Any and all types of healing energy is appreciated. And as she heals, contact by email or text is welcome. Her sister will be there caring for her. Together, let's celebrate these joys and concerns that have been shared with us. And let's hold any sorrows that we have in our hearts. You are welcome to mention your any joys and sorrows that you're holding that are too personal to put in a book, but you may at this time mention people who are in your heart, like Madeline and John. Please join me in a moment of silence as we allow ourselves to feel part of this community of care. Now let us send our heartfelt caring intentions to each other and to all beings everywhere by offering the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness, which is in your order of service. And you can repeat the words after me. May we all be filled with loving kindness. May we all be free from harm and suffering. May we all be well in body, heart, and mind. May we all be at peace.
There's quite a height difference between Sandra and myself. One way we seek to share loving kindness is by partnering with other organizations who bring greater love, kindness, and justice to the world. Today's partner organization, I'm thrilled to say, is our very own Cobb GSA, or Gay Straight Alliance. Cobb GSA provides a safe space for high school-aged LGBTQ plus youth and their allies to make new friends in a supportive environment, to enjoy food, games, and great conversation. As I mentioned earlier, I'm the lead advisor for the group, and I'm happy to tell you more about it anytime. We also have a bulletin board over in this hallway, closer to the kitchen. We encourage you to support this work financially and by engaging in direct action. And Sandra, who I just mentioned, actually was speaking to me right before the service saying that she would like to work with the group, and I'm so so grateful for that. If you're interested in being a chaperone, because we could use a small group of those, you must be an Emerson member over the age of 25 and submit to a background check. So talk to me about that later. Please offer a donation as you are able, or take one of the cards that describes the ways to give electronically. Ways to give are also posted in the chat. All donations, unless otherwise specified, will be split equally between Emerson and Cobb GSA.
What a perfect choice. Didn't everybody want to kind of just sing along?
Not at all.
Not at all?
Sing away.
Well, this is our time for all ages. If you are young or young at heart, please join me for a story. I have a story for you. Come on up. We'll sit amongst the plants today. Bobby, come closer. Come on up. Awesome. Well, today's story comes from Hawaii. Has anybody ever been to Hawaii? You have? No? Hawaii is an island nation, kind of out on the other side of California, so it's really far away. And this story comes from Hawaii from an ancient time. So this is one of their ancient stories about one of their gods. Now, we talk about gods sometimes here, but you know, in a lot of cultures, they have a lot of different gods. So gods of the sun or gods of the earth, there's a lot of different gods that kind of look out for different parts of the world. So this god's name was Ku. That's an interesting name, right? Ku. Kind of sounds like a bird. Ku, 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 but it's not. It's Ku, the god. Now, Ku, as most gods, you know, in most of these stories, the gods kind of live up, out, away from people. But in this story, this god Ku wanted to come down and live with people. That sounds like a pretty fun thing, right? So Ku decided to come on down. So Ku came on down and took the form of just a typical dude. And he was walking around. He became a farmer. And he met a lovely lady and decided to get married. And they had a lot of kids. And they were having this very lovely time in the world until something happened. In the area that they lived, they had a famine. Do you know what a famine is? What is it? Yes, exactly. A loss of food. So what happens in a famine is sometimes it gets really dry and the rains don't come, and so the food doesn't grow, and that's what happened in this area. There was a big famine, and so everybody was going really, really hungry. Can you imagine if you just did not have food for days and days and days? You'd be pretty hungry, right? Well, they were really, really hungry. Now, Ku was a god, so you would think he would figure out how to fix this. And in fact, he did have a way to fix it. But he also knew something. He said to his wife, he said, I can take care of this. I can bring food to everybody. But there's one thing. I need to leave to do it, and I'll never be back. So that was pretty sad, right? So his wife and him talked about it, and his wife looked around at their own children who were so, so hungry, and looked around at all the children in the whole community, and everybody was so hungry. And so his wife said, okay, we need to do this. So instantly, as Ku said that, do you know what happened? He was standing there as a man, and he went shoo, right down into the earth. And they were very surprised. But it didn't take long, and all of a sudden, and maybe you can do this with me. You want to do it with me? Okay, here we are. We're down in the earth. They're down in the earth. What do you think happens when something's down in the earth, and then what happens next? Or it starts going up. So here was Ku. You want to be Ku with me? Go ahead. And all of a sudden, Ku starts sprouting up. And music started playing. Come on, sprout it up. And Ku started sprouting and sprouting and sprouting. Whoosh. Ku became a big, beautiful tree. And his wife was like, wow. And the wife could speak tree, so heard what Ku was saying. And Ku said, my body, my trunk is my body. And my arms have become branches. And my hands have become leaves. And hanging from the leaves is the fruit. And the fruit is my heart. So when you take this fruit and you eat, you will always feel me in your heart. And so what happened? The kids came around, their children came around, Ku's children came around, and they picked the fruit and they ate it, and it was so good, and they were feeling filled. But then all the children in the neighborhood saw this tree with the fruit, and they were hungry. So guess what they did? They came running. So the whole neighborhood, I'm not going to ask all of you to do it, but imagine you were all the kids. You all come running to the tree, and they start pulling all the fruit off the tree. And someone had said, oh, I'm going to take that whole branch, and almost went and took a branch off. And somebody else said, you know, we kind of need wood. What if we chop down the tree, and then we can make a boat out of it, and then we can make fire out of it? And in that instant, what did Ku do? Can you guess? He what? Yeah. All of a sudden, he went back down into the ground. And everybody in the village was like, oh, they got pretty sad and they went away. And after they went away, Ku whispered to his wife, if everybody treats me like that and just grabs and takes, there won't be anything left of me. And then we'll be back to the same place as we were before. So Ku rose up again. And this time, all around Ku were these tiny little sprouts. And Ku said to his wife, call the villagers over and tell them to take the little sprouts of the other trees. You know, sometimes when you see a big tree, there's like these little sprouts on the ground, and those are the other little saplings of other trees. So he put all these other little saplings, and he said, tell all your friends to come take the saplings. And so they did. They came and they took the saplings and they took them out to their homes. And they planted the saplings, and you know what happened? It was a magical tree. And usually trees take like a long time to grow. But this tree went whoosh, each time they planted a sapling. A new tree came, and a new tree came. And soon there were these big, beautiful trees. Would you stand up and be a big, beautiful tree with me? You don't want to know? Okay, well, those that want to stand up, everybody stand up. Let's be big, beautiful trees, because the whole village became a big, beautiful tree. And everybody was fed. And from that day over, all the villagers realized how they needed to be with the trees and only take what was needed. Make sure to leave some and to share. That sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? Thank you, trees. You can take them back down. Shall we sing our story? Sing our song. That was a story. Don't try to think what words to use until you stand there alone. When you feel the sun, you feel the sun too. When you feel the sun, you feel the sun too. When you feel the sun, you feel the sun too. Just sing it, sing it, just sing it. But it caught me by surprise. The way to start the day, did you hear what they sang? The way to start the day is this: go out and face the east and greet the sun. How do you start your day? Anybody? For many of us, it's that, right? It's as if something happened overnight since I last did this, that if I don't check right away in the morning, the whole world is going to collapse, right? Something could have happened. How many people have ever tried putting your phones in another room while you slept? Anybody? And then not rush to it in the morning when you get up? Ah, few? It's really hard. It's wonderful. I've done it a few times. Really, really wonderful. But it's really hard. The way to start the day is this: go out and face the east and greet the sun. Such simple advice, and I'm guessing, like me, when you heard those words sung, or you heard me say them just now, there was something about it that felt right. Right? Like, yeah, that's a really good idea. It's a really good idea. In yoga classes all over the country, people do a series of postures that are called the sun salutation. So you raise your arms over your head and you bow. Excuse me. And down you go into something called the downward dog. Ooh. Now, most people are pretty focused on their hamstrings, their calves, their hips when they're doing that. But here's the secret. The down dog, the sun salutation are not meant to be exercises. They're meant to be a prayer. Yeah. When the downward dog asks you to put your head down there and your butt up in the air, it's to put your head, your mind, your thoughts below your heart. To elevate the heart and to offer a salutation, a prayer to the sun. It is meant as a way to start the day with reverence. This idea that nature is to be honored is actually integrated into many traditions and into this Unitarian Universalist faith. Our seventh principle says that we respect the interdependent web of all existence and acknowledge that we are part of that web. One of the 6 sources of our faith is stated as such. One of our sources of our faith is spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. To live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. Okay, to be honest, here's your little quiz for the day. On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you doing with that? Living in the harmony, living in the rhythms of nature. Okay, 1 to 10. What do you think? Call out a number. If I said, how are you doing with it, living with the rhythms of your news feed and podcast schedule? How you doing? A little different, right? I love taking walks in the woods, but I have to admit, if I'm not walking and chatting with somebody, I often have my earbuds in, right? pulling my attention to the latest issue of the Daily, highly recommend it, or some spiritual teacher inspiring me to live with more presence. Yes, I am aware of the irony in what I just said. Perhaps one of the most profound teachers I listened to one day as I was walking was John O'Donohue, who speaks so beautifully from the Celtic perspective about this idea of landscape. He says this. He says, it makes a huge difference when you wake up in the morning and come out of your house, whether you believe you are walking into a dead geographical location which is used to get to a destination, or whether you're emerging out into a landscape that is just as much, if not more, alive than you, but in a totally different form. And if you go towards it with an open heart and a real watchful reverence, that you will be absolutely amazed at what it will reveal to you. Have you had those experiences where you have allowed the landscape to touch you? We are so often taught as humans that we are the aware ones. We are the seers of the other. And from this space, we so often hold these monologues with nature, don't we? We tell nature what we need from it, we need it to do. We need it to provide us with shelter and warmth and food. The Catholic priest and evolutionary theologian Thomas Berry points out this misguided idea, saying, we are talking only to ourselves. We are not talking to the rivers. We are not listening to the wind and stars. We have broken the great conversation. And he continues, not to hear the natural world is to not hear the divine. We as modern people have forgotten that nature is actually wanting a two-way relationship with us. We have forgotten that while we look at nature, she is looking back at us. The indigenous peoples of this land and around the world knew this well. They built this idea into their spirituality. The idea that the world is, as John O'Donohue puts it, as, if not more, alive than us. In the Berkshires, for where I lived for many years, we had a monthly sweat lodge group of women that met and did the ceremony. The ceremony we used came from the Chips family of the Pine Ridge Reservation, Lakota Nation, that brought it to us. Now, in the sweat lodge ceremony, each step is a ritual. So we make a fire, but first we lay down the logs, and we place the rocks that are going to come into the sweat lodge on the fire. And with each rock, we offer blessings. We offer a prayer. We use sage and cedar and tobacco and corn and seeds. And we offer a prayer to the rocks before they are heated. And we make prayer bundles while the rocks are being heated, using those same elements. And we take those prayer bundles into the sweat lodge with us. And when the rocks are fully heated in the fire, but before we enter the lodge, we chant this prayer. We gather in a circle, and we face the west first. And we offer this prayer, gazing into the west. We say, Grandmother, I see you sitting in the west. You are sacred, and you are looking at me. I pray to you, pray to you. You are sacred, and you are looking at me. And then we turn to the north, and the east, and the south, repeating that prayer each time. We look above, we touch the ground. Grandmother, I see you sitting in the earth. You are sacred, and you are looking at me. I pray to you. Pray to you. You are sacred, and you are looking at me. And then we turn towards the direction within and repeat this prayer. Grandmother, I see you sitting. I see you, that which is unknown, that which is beyond what I normally see. I see you. You are sacred. I pray to you, meaning I am fully present with you in this moment. I am here with you. I pray to you. I pray to you. You are sacred and you are looking at me. I recognize that I'm not the only seer. I pray to you. I'm present with you. I feel your presence seeing me. You are sacred and you are looking at me. And we end each prayer with O Matakwioasin, which means all my relations, or we are all related. I hope you can feel the power in that prayer. Today, for our second hour service reflections, we're actually going to do it outside so that we have some time with nature, and I'll lead us in the full prayer. If you are interested, please join me. It's very powerful. So how do you start your day? How do you pray? How do you touch the earth? How do you remind yourself to be in conversation with the world? Today, there's a lot of climate and environmental action work going on, and that is not a bad thing. That is good and necessary. We need to do that work. But I think we have to be careful be careful that we are not perpetuating the idea of dominance over the environment, that same dominance over that got us into the problems we are having today. If we only see that we mess things up and have to fix them, if we race around and talk about climate change and climate disaster, and we make electric cars and put solar panels on our homes and deal with systemic environmental injustice, and we cry foul because they've paved paradise and put up a parking lot, if we do all that, but we don't stop to consider our relationship with the earth, our two-way conversation with her, I think we're destined to fail in all that environmental work. Indigenous healer, professor of botany, spiritual teacher, and author of the spectacular book, Braiding Sweetgrass, Robin Wall Kimmerer reminds us, she says, it is not enough to weep for our lost landscapes. We have to put our hands in the earth to make ourselves whole again. When was the last time your hands touched the earth? She reminds us that in our environmental work, we must not forget to nurture the connection we have with the earth. And she says, even a wounded world is feeding us. Even a wounded world holds us, giving us moments of wonder and joy. And she says, I choose joy over despair. Right? Even as we're doing this important environmental work, here's this person that has dedicated her life to plants, and she says, I choose joy over despair. Not because I have my head in the sand, she says, but because joy is what the earth gives me daily, and I must give it to her in return. Isn't that powerful? Right? Joy is coming to us from the earth, and we need to give it back. Her words are echoed by Victoria Lortz, who's the author of a wonderful book called Church of the Wild. And she says, post-doom spirituality ultimately chooses joy over despair. It is a shift away from our capitalistic productivity goals that aim to fix global warming. This is a wild spirituality that loves the world for the sake of the good of the world itself, for the sake of the trees still living and the water still flowing. We cannot forget them. All of these teachers point us to that same place. If we want to heal the earth, we must heal our relationship with her. And to do so, we must stop talking about the earth and start talking with. We need to touch the earth and let the earth touch us. Whether you are spiritually minded and feel there is a soul that leaves the body and goes off to other experiences, or perhaps you're more humanist minded and you feel that life is finite, exclusive to this time and space, or perhaps you believe something in between or something totally different. whatever you believe, we must learn to listen to the elements that make us up right here, right now: earth, wind, fire, air. When my children were young and we homeschooled them, they were part of a group called Flying Deer. It was an outdoor-based learning center. There they learned to build shelters outside, and they slept under them, and they learned to start a fire from a bow drill. Which, funny aside, at my daughter's wedding rehearsal this summer, my daughter got married. So there we are at the wedding rehearsal, and the wedding party's all telling stories and making speeches about how wonderful the kids are. So in one of those speeches, I learned that my daughter Rhea and her best friend Kayla, when they were 12, learning how to make their bow drills and use them, they used to practice their bow drill skills in her bedroom late at night. The things you learn at your daughter's wedding. Thankfully, starting a fire with a bow drill is not easy. Anybody try it? Yeah. But the kids would also do this special activity each day when they went to Flying Deer. For some part of the day, they would take time at their sit spot. Now, a sit spot is just what the name implies. It is a spot in the woods where one goes to just sit and be, to sit and listen, to sit and enter into a two-way conversation with the trees and the plants and the insects and the animals. It was their practice each day to learn to listen to all the teachers that surrounded them. And I'm not talking about the human ones. I actually think children actually crave these kind of teachers, don't they? The birds, the squirrels, the trees, the wind. It's a shame that so many of our schools don't realize this. The late Lakota tribal leader known as Luther Standing Bear once wrote, "The old people came literally to love the soil. They sat on the ground with the feeling of being close to a mothering power. It was good for the skin to touch the earth. And the old people liked to remove their moccasins and walk with their bare feet on the sacred earth. This was soothing, strengthening, cleansing, healing." Do you go barefoot? I love Georgia. You can go barefoot more often. This summer, as I was in a program with Robin Wall Kimmerer, she sent us outside, instructing us to go out and basically find a sit spot, to sit and hear more subtly, to see more deeply, to feel the ground, to touch the earth, and to learn its language. You see, to be native to a place is to learn the language of that place, and yet we give primacy to the language of people in this place. Science does not dispute that animals and nature were here first, right? Yet we look at those indigenous living beings as less intelligent because they do not speak our language. Perhaps instead it's time for us to learn their language. Robin recounts a story from her teaching. She said, "I gave the students in my general ecology class a survey. Among other things, they were asked to rate their understanding of negative interactions between humans and the environment, and nearly every one of the 200 students said that they were confident that humans and nature were a bad mix." Now, these were third-year students who had selected a career in environmental protection, so the response was not surprising. They were well schooled in the mechanics of climate change, toxins in the land and water, and the crisis of habitat loss. Later in the survey, they were asked to rate their knowledge of positive interactions between people and the land. And she said the median response was none. And she says she was stunned by this response. Because she says, how can we begin to move toward ecological and cultural sustainability if we cannot even imagine what the path feels like? If we cannot even imagine the generosity of geese? Right? What are we working towards with our environmental justice if it's not relationship? Kimmer reminds us that we need to learn the language of nature and to find a message of joy and abundance. I'm going to close with what she offers as a few important ways to approach nature. excuse me, I love her first the most. She says, introduce yourself when you meet a plant. I went out there today in our backwoods and I did that, and it was profound. I hadn't really done that before. To actually go up to a tree and say, hi, my name is Deborah. I felt like all the trees were just shaking. They were so happy. They're like, we're so happy to meet you. Right? Because we don't go up to each other. What do? We meet each other. We're like, hi, my name is. But we don't do that to plants. So she says, introduce yourself when you meet a plant. And then she says, if you want to take something from the plant, ask it first. I drive my kids crazy with this one because since they were little, I would always say at Christmas time, we would go to the Christmas tree farm to cut down the tree. And no matter how many people were also there cutting down the tree, I said, we can't take this tree before we circle it around, hold hands, and ask it permission. And so we would always do that. And every once in a while, we got a no. And then we would go off to another tree. And we would wait till we got a yes. One year I was like, okay, they're too old. They're not going to want to do this anymore. They're complaining about this. And they were like, Mom, we got to circle the tree. And I was like, yeah. That's the, right? Moms, you're with me, dads? You're like, you know that moment. You're like, yeah. Yeah, they listened. She says, never take the last or more than half and leave some for others, even if those others are not human. Give thanks and leave a gift. Just like we may take a gift to a friend's house if they invite us over for dinner, leave a gift in the garden when you take it, when you take food. Or in the woods, a little strand of hair that a bird might use for their nest. In this way, we begin to learn how to touch the earth. And we begin to learn how to let the earth touch us. And it is then that we can truly begin to feel part of the interconnected web of existence of which we all are a part. So may you each start your day by greeting the sun, and may you feel it greet you in return. I'm going to invite us into a moment of reflection now before we sing our closing hymn. So if you'd like to take a moment, feel free to close your eyes if that feels good for you, or you can just have soft eyes. A lot of words were spoken about this connection. So I'm going to offer you a moment of silence for you and invite you to imagine yourself outside, perhaps barefoot, feeling the sand or the dirt or the grass underneath your feet. Put yourself in a place in nature where you can feel the air around you and the wind, where you can feel just the perfect temperature of the sun, perfect amount of shade for you. And after you find yourself in that place, I'm going to invite you to just listen for a moment. Can you hear? Can you feel that just like every creature that surrounds you, you too are made up of these elements? Water, air, fire, water. Just like every creature, all directions surround you. The west, the north, east and south, above and below and within. Feel yourself standing in and amongst and part of, as alive as you is all that surrounds you. Before you end your meditation, don't forget to introduce yourself and listen for the names of those that surround you. And as you're ready, feel free to open your eyes. We're going to end with a beautiful song called Blue Boat Home. I think it'll be on our screen. So please rise if you would like and join us in singing this beautiful hymn.
Standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still I drive and park and say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun my sail and moon my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all with kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great wind surging me on, read the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Isn't that a wonderful hymn? Art, are you ready? All right. We have a message from our very own Green Sanctuary team and Art Wickman. I hope I got them ready for you, Art.
Yeah, boy. Man, what a lead-in for Green Sanctuary announcement. It's wonderful. My name is Art Wickman, and I am here today representing the Green Sanctuary team, which currently consists of Nick Joquet, Denise Carden, Karen Anderson Cordoba, Peggy Gastright, Elizabeth Thomas, and myself. I believe it's safe to say that concern for the environment is a widely held value at Emerson. As long as I can remember, the Emerson congregation has been involved in this work. Those who've done the work in the past are too many to be numbered here, but I want to thank you all for your service. Going forward, the Green Sanctuary team wants to provide opportunities for members of the congregation to continue putting their spiritual concern for the environment into concrete actions. We'd love to have you join us in promoting environmental education, legislative advocacy on climate change, and actions that will reduce our energy consumption and carbon footprint here at Emerson. We'd love to hear your ideas about environmental issues and projects. We currently meet once a month as a group, and we are planning to conduct one ARE, that's adult religious ed, session per quarter. Our next ARE session will be Sunday, October 30th. That's next week, and that's being organized by Karen Cordoba Anderson in collaboration with the group Cobb EMC Forum. It's titled, You Own It, It's Time to Lead It, and it's focused on how we can promote leadership at Cobb EMC that's committed to the community, clean energy, and low energy bills. With regard to reducing our energy consumption here at Emerson, we currently have a major project to install high energy heat pumps to service the entire building. This project has been underwritten by grants from the South Face Institute. Denise Carden has been key to getting our grant applications into South Face, and this is an ongoing effort. We hope to hear a decision on the latest grant cycles in mid-November. Installing the heat pumps has been a large sweat equity project. We are supplying our own labor to do this, and we can really use all the help we can get. Please see me, Nick Jokay, Dave Schimmel, Michael Myers, or Denise Carden if you'd like to get involved. And please see the perforated insert in the back of your order of service. That's this little tab at the back here. You can fill this out and leave it at the back of the sanctuary or hand it to any team member. And to encourage and or bribe you to come share your thoughts with us, the Green Sanctuary team is providing snacks, cookies, coffee, and an information table in the fellowship hall following today's service. So, thank you for all of your attention.
We hope you have been nourished in heart and mind by our worship today. If you would like more information about Unitarian Universalism or about Emerson, please stop by our welcome table outside the sanctuary. I believe Anne is there this morning, ready to meet you. Please join us next week as Reverend Deborah delivers a message called From Death to Immortality. During this service, we will prepare an altar of remembrance for those that have passed, and you are encouraged to bring a photo or small memento of your loved one to place on the altar. We hope you will join us. As our chalice is extinguished this morning, please join Julian in the final words, which are posted in the chat and appear in your order of service.
We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment.
These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. There will be a fire drill, which we'll hear more about in a bit, but we hope that you will join us for the refreshments in the fellowship hall mentioned by Art just now, near the back doors. Those online, you can stick around for fellowship time in virtual breakout rooms. And at 11:15, we offer religious education and exploration for children, youth, and adults. As Reverend Deborah mentioned, worship reflections will be outside today. Please see the order of service for all information. And now I'd like to invite Richard Fuller up to tell us more about our exciting fire drill.
Okay, in a couple of minutes, you're going to hear the fire alarm, and there'll be a woman announcing that a fire has been reported. We want to exit by the nearest convenient exit and gather beyond the picnic tables. There's a sign there now saying evacuation area. But anyhow, that's where we want to head for. If you have mobility challenges, you can go to the refuge area at the bottom of these back stairs. Well, technically there's one up in the front too, but I would suggest that one. If you have kids in the nursery staff will bring the kids to the evacuation area. And did I cover it?
Blue and white sign.
The evacuation area sign? Okay. Susan reminds me that there's a blue and white sign out there in the evacuation area, but it's just beyond the picnic tables.
Once everybody gets out there, you'll let us know. If we can all get out there expediently, then you'll say we're done and we can come back in and...
Beth is going to use the bullhorn to announce that the fire drill is over, and come back in and go to the fellowship hall.
Richard, I've got a question.
Yes.
What's our goal for safely evacuating this building?
We're hoping we can evacuate in less than 4 minutes.
All right. All right, so go now in peace and take peace wherever you go after you hear the fire alarm. In a peaceful way.